Fox32 called the other day to get my help, their favorite Democrats' help, with a story about how to spot fake news. And news segments are very short, so they were only able to include a little bit. And so I wanted to do a video to talk about it at length, because I think we can all agree in this day and age, it's really, really important. The trigger for the story was an article titled "Pedophile's Decapitated Corpse Found on Judge's Doorstep After Bail Hearing." Now, obviously it was a hoax, but stories like this pop up all over the web every day, hundreds of them. Now, the web giants like Google and so on have figured out ways to spot them and take them down, but not fast enough. Many of these go viral, and it's really tragic because it takes our attention away from real pain. There's so much suffering in this world, and when we distract ourselves from what's real, we diminish the gravity of that situation. Why do these articles get created? They are bait. They are bait for traffic, because traffic is currency. The way the web works is that web properties make money from that traffic, whether it's because they try to sell you a product or they sell ads. Now, the reporter who did the story on Fox32 asked, but why would a business pay money to a hoax website? The website may be publishing hoaxes, the content may be untrue, but the traffic is real. Most of us, at one point or another, fell into that trap where we clicked on something and went to a story that wasn't real. And I'm not talking about onion stories. And that's the big distinction as well here. There's satire and there's hoaxes. Hoax websites are designed to make money. They're not trying to entertain. They're not trying to take down the liberal media. If they don't sell ads, there's another tricky thing they do. That's even scarier to me. You will go to that website and they'll pop up something that says you need to install an add-on so that you can watch this content. Now, if you don't pay attention, that add-on could be malware. So let's talk about how you can spot these hoaxes. Now, obviously, the first thing is if it sounds sensational, that should raise some red flags. That should raise some questions. If you land on that page, the first thing to look for is this page secure? Reputable publications usually have that HTTPS at the beginning of their URL. That tells you that there's a secure layer added there. Look at the domain. Does it end into a .com or does it end into a .info, .about? Does the name sound like a real publication, or are they trying to pretend like a real publication? If the page you land on is full of what appears to be other stories, little boxes with graphic images and sensational titles, that's a red flag. Next, look at the author's name and Google the author name. Reputable publications usually also have a link tied to the author's name where you can click and find more about them. And most journalists today are on Twitter. So if you can't find them on Twitter, that's questionable. Then look to see, are there any quotes in the article? A lot of hoaxes don't quote anybody, or they quote an anonymous source. Also, a lot of times hoax articles pretend to quote somebody, but don't give any credentials. Reputable publications will fully state out the name, title, oftentimes location and age of the source that they're quoting. They'll use names that are either ridiculous or so common that if you try to Google that source or that author, you get so many results that you can't really verify if they're real or not. If you've gone through all those checks and you're still unsure, Google the title of the story. Real stories will appear in multiple publications. Real stories also won't be exactly the same across multiple websites. So check for variation and check for how many and what other websites are writing about this. Now, in those situations where you land on a page that asks you to install something, that's a major, major red flag, because they're typically trying to install malware or Trojan horses to get access to information on your computer. Now, of course, the first thing to do is to make sure that your computer has security measures in place so that if something gets through, it's being caught and eliminated. But there are other ways to protect yourself. Reputable publications will not ask you to download anything. You don't need a plugin these days to play a video. If you see that, exit out. When you land on these pages and the red flags start popping up, click on the About page and click on Terms and Conditions. If there is no About page, run. I went to this website and I clicked on Terms and Conditions, and it became really obvious that they were installing software. And they even stated that they will access your personal information. It was all there. Now, there's a wonderful resource out there that even has a section that distinguishes between satirical websites and hoax websites. That's factcheck.org, and I highly recommend it, not just for checking these types of stories, but other facts that you may read or see in the news. If it seems unreal, it probably is, and at least it's worth double checking a few of those things. Over time, you're going to learn how to spot these before you even click on them. And you're going to say to yourself, I know what you're trying to do. I'm not clicking. I'm not going to help you make money off of my traffic. And use that time for wonderful, uplifting things or learning how to love change. Yeah, like subscribe to my channel and watch more of my videos. And I hope to see you back here next time.